Well, hello and welcome, everyone. So we usually do the order in these shares as we do the talking first and the meditation second. But today we went ahead and switched the order. And so we did today was actually a guided journey channeled by Colleen. And we were talking kind of what was on our mind and what our guidance was as far as what to talk about. And today was ancestral history and or past lives. And so what was really cool that came through in Colleen's guided journey was ancestral history. And, you know, the differences between the two is with past lives. They may or may not be in your ancestry, where ancestral history is more of our genetic memory. And there's a bit more to that. But Colleen, I kind of wanted you to talk about what came through as far as healing the things in our ancestral history, but also knowing that there are gifts and talents that have been passed down through our ancestral history. Which is what came through in that guided journey, revealing some of that. And how does that apply to our life today? So, Colleen, do you want to kind of talk about what came through in that?
Mm-hmm. So, one of the things that I've really experienced with Reiki as a practitioner and a teacher is how it actually does its healing work. So, it does the healing work. And one of its primary ways of doing that is by revealing who you really are, which is your gifts and talents. So you can notice in the invocation that there was healing for the ancestors, healing for your lifetimes, other lifetimes, and also, you know, as I was seeing in the hall of the ancestors, it is inclusive of the descendants too, as we're all in one, you know, lineage of the light. And, you know, then really the way the energy works is by revealing actually those gifts that we have, those talents that we have. A lot of times I've noticed in a lot of my practices, there's been a pretty big focus on like spending the time in the healing of other lifetimes and the healing of the ancestral histories. And so through the course of time in doing that work and working with Reiki and how it actually does the healing, and what I mean by that, when we do these kinds of Reiki journeys like this, it gives us the opportunity to observe how it's actually working. So through observation, I have seen repeatedly that what it's showing is by revealing the gifts and talents that we have innately, cellularly, through epigenetics, it wakes it up within us, is that's the most powerful healing that occurs for for anything in the way that Reiki does the work, is by empowering us and going through a continual state of revealing our authentic self. And so seeing that, really working with the ancestors from what is the gifts that they offer us. And ancestors can be direct lineage, but they don't have to be direct lineage. And the same thing with descendants. There are many people who, you know, may not have children themselves, but they have descendants. Even, and spend the time with those descendants. And understanding that we are the descendants of the ancestors, and we are the ancestors of the descendants. So as you really listen to what that means, we are in the lineage of it. And so what we are doing is actually highlighting now what the gifts and the abilities, the wisdom and the knowledge of the ancient ones from our recent ancestors. And maybe we don't have some direct experience of that in our direct family, but there's something there. And so there's always in the sessions and in something like this, there's always the letting go part at the river is where it did it this time. It's not always at the river, but this time at the river. And then going to that hall of the ancestors and really being able to receive the gifts and let them come forward within you. One of the pivotal places of understanding for this for me was I was doing some sessions, and it was, a lot of past life healing, and it was like, God, why do we have such hardcore past lives that we have to heal? Like, what is that? Because so repeatedly they were like showing, we've had some pretty rough past lives. And Reiki answered it, or spirit guide, however that works. But I got the information, I received the information that it was because that's what I was asking for. And that's when they said, oh, well, ask for the gifts and the talents and the lifetimes of mastery and the abilities that are cellularly within you and the gifts of your soul and the knowledge that you bring with you on that soul's level in those, higher awarenesses that we also have. So that's what started showing up in my sessions, was like, oh, look at what is right here innate to uncover. And realizing the quote, Robyn, maybe you can get this more accurately if I don't get it exactly right, but, remembering that we are the result of the thousands who came before us, or the result of love of the thousands who came before us. We are the result of love of the thousands who came before us. And so when we really utilize Reiki energy to highlight those empower, more than highlight, it empowers it. And through one of the awarenesses through science that we're becoming more and more aware of, metaphysics, we're aware of it maybe in a different language, but that through epigenetics, our cellular memory includes all of and gifts and talents is a euphemism for the great big picture of wisdom, knowledge, experience of other lifetimes where, maybe it was a lifetime of mastery, maybe it was an ordinary lifetime of just ease and comfort, or maybe a lifetime where you were a healer in the past and, free to be fully engaged in your healing arts. And, maybe there's knowledge that you bring forward with you that's innate, but sometimes hidden from your own view because of the injuries. So the way the energy actually works is it reveals it, it uncovers it, it shows up, it empowers it within you. So that was what was actually happening in the invocation, was to, take some time to just let the energy lift from you those injuries that can hide it, because those are also real. And Reiki energy does address them. Another powerful piece to understand about how Reiki energy works is there's nothing you have to do. It's done by the light receiving it, the consciousness, the authority of love, divine compassion, even the power of forgiveness, those cords and connectors, attachments of things that are attached from other lifetimes or ancestral histories. Those are actually lifted for you. The cord cutting happens through the energy doing it. And the way that it does that is, rather than cutting the cords, they simply dissolve into the light and what is released is actually healed. It's not cast out, it's healed. And it's healed all the way back as far as it needs to go. Because a lot of times, especially here where we're looking at ancestry and past lives, it goes back to perhaps generations or even centuries of things that have occurred. The other thing that I do want to mention, and maybe I was actually hearing this could be a whole other subject that we cover independently or uniquely, or on its own, all altered, is the awareness of the presence of the descendants. That in no time and space, the distance symbol energy in no time and space, and in our soul's history, there's no time and space. So the descendants also exist, and we can also invite the gifts and talents they have to empower us today, which is what I personally do a lot of, is, help me hear what I need to hear today to make a difference for you, so that these things are here for you easily and powerfully, and the healing that can take place today and the empowerment that can take place today has the results of the effect for the descendants. And here's the piece I should share with everyone. And it's, a personal experience in a session that I did with a client who definitely has a soul's history in the descendants, like the energy of the descendants, his knowledge from the descendants came through in this session and showed that humanity does evolve. We make it. We do a good job. We come through. We get to these higher planes of consciousness, and that there are a lot of us right now making a difference by co-creating with intention the higher frequencies of love, innovation, earth energies, human awareness, human spirit, activating within us the amazing qualities of our human spirit, the purity of who we are. And as we do that, we co-create with intention. We make it physical. And so it does become available then for the descendants. And we are also, so often when I'm working with the ancestors, they're like, oh, you are who you are, and who you get to be is an answer to the prayers of the ancestors. Many of them are like, oh, I had hoped for you, for my granddaughter, however many generations back, to be able to have these conversations freely, would be just one example. So anyway, here's the whole scoop, summarizing it all, is that Reiki can help us observe these things. And also Reiki also does these things whether we observe them or not. This is how the energy works, and it's not dependent on our ability to observe them. But I know for myself, we like observing them. So that's why we activate the energies to take us to these higher levels of consciousness that we experience, like in a meditation. You may experience it all different ways. Here we did it through an invocation and Reiki journey. You may do it through wandering and wondering and walking, or, however it comes through for you. That's why I also invite insight, so that I get to have those aha moments no matter what I'm doing and on the fly. So Reiki energy does this, and it does that healing work, and it can do that for you through self-Reiki with others. I personally still get sessions from others because it feels good, but also I still need that always for balancing. But also you can do that however it works for you.